To get started, can we go ahead and do some introductions? We'll start here with Long. Can you introduce your name, your job title, and your company, please?
So my name is Phan, and I'm a maintenance technician 2 at Target Distribution on 7th standard.
And Long, what class were you in? What class did you graduate in?
2022.
2022.
Yeah, so I just graduated like exactly 1 year.
I'm Chad. I'm a senior automation technician for Berry Corporation. I graduated in 2019.
My name is Richard. I'm a senior maintenance manager with ELS Amazon, and I graduated in 2017. 2017, right? What was the first one?
18.
18. I graduated in 18.
I was like, you must have graduated by yourself.
Whatever that class, yes.
Yeah. My name is DJ. I work for JPR Systems as a field service engineer, and I graduated in 2020.
Awesome. So as you can see, they're pretty recent, right? Not too old. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the questions that we have today for the panel. At the end, you guys will have the opportunity to go ahead and ask them some questions directly that you might have of your own. So first thing first, we're going to head and break off these questions into groups. So Long and Richard, you'll be group 1, and then group 2, DJ and Chad, you guys will cover the second group of questions. So the first question is going to Long and Richard. It's going to be, what's your role and what is your primary work function at your place of employment?
So for me, technically, we just the guy that keep the whole distribution running. We do preventative maintenance on all the equipment and conveyor, and also corrective maintenance as well.
Yeah, I'm also with that idea. So my job role, I'm senior maintenance manager. I have 4 departments underneath me: facilities, reliability, engineering, and maintenance. And in the same aspect, my role is to ensure that those departments and those heads are operating efficiently and kind of executing the goals that ELS and Amazon want for the facility. And the same thing also in conveyance, a lot of conveyance, and just ensuring that everyone's working safely, accurately. And then on each department, you can go into each of them, but that's kind of my role day to day.
Thank you, guys. Question number 3 for Chad and DJ. Please describe a typical day at your job. Do you work primarily alone or with a team? What tools do you use most often? And what software packages do you use most often? And how often do you perform troubleshooting? I know there's a lot of questions, so feel free to follow.
So my work week is actually split. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm in the office usually. Tuesday and Thursday, I'm out in the field, which can be anywhere from Taft, Fellows, McKittrick, or Pozo Creek. When I'm in the field, I usually am alone or working with a third-party vendor who provides our I&E support to help them troubleshoot instruments. You'll find that anytime something goes down out on the floor or in the field, you'll get a call, what changed in the program? Nothing changed in the program. Your instrument or your device is faulty. But we have to prove it. Okay. So to that end, mostly what I use is the Rockwell software, 500, 5000, Studio, Factory Talk View Studio, Machine Edition, and Site Edition. And we are also now using Inductive Automation's ignition package for our SCADA system. So I got certified for the 8.0, 8.1 version of that, and I've just been given credentials to be able to update screens for them. I'm still training wheels for them, so my SCADA specialist does a review on all of my work before it gets pushed out to the production environment. Sometimes I'll use screwdrivers, digital multimeters. It just depends on what the problem is. And as far as how often do I perform troubleshooting? Troubleshooting is the whole job. There wouldn't be a job if it wasn't figuring out what's going wrong. Very rarely is it anything new development. When it is new development, usually we have integrators who provide a turnkey package for us, and then we just take it over and do the preventive and corrective maintenance.
Awesome. All right, so there really isn't a typical day for me because since I'm a field service engineer, I travel a lot. So we have an office here in Bakersfield, but I'm never there. I'm actually at home, and then I go to the job site, and we are responsible for all of California and Nevada and Hawaii. Haven't been there yet. Hopefully soon. And so I go to locations and we do a lot of calibrations, anything that has to do with process measurement. So we use, my laptop is like my first thing that I carry everywhere. And of course I use screwdrivers and all that kind of stuff. And as far as software, we use a lot of specialized software. For instance, Anderson Hauser has field care to troubleshoot stuff. We use that a lot. And it's also compatible with other devices from other manufacturers. So you just download a DTM, what we call that, and you can connect to another device and you can actually perform troubleshooting and all that kind of stuff. And as far as troubleshooting, it depends on the job. Once again, I mean, there are some jobs where I'm there just to troubleshoot something, and there are some jobs where I'm doing a calibration, and then something might happen, so then I'm doing troubleshooting as well. So that's one of the things that you have to be ready for. Just get ready to fix something because not everything's going to go according to plan. So you just get there, you do your job, and you just get out of there. What else? That's it.
Thanks, DJ. Thanks, Chad. All right, so for Long and Richard, what would you recommend to current students preparing to enter the workforce?
For me, I would recommend you fully understand what you're studying for. Don't just, get the homework done, get the A, that's not enough. Try to fully understand what it does because when you go to work, just as DJ said, it's never perfect. You need to troubleshoot it, and how you troubleshoot, you have to know how it runs. Just like ladder logic, you have to go from top to bottom and make sure how it runs in ladder. And then mechanical system, I'm happy to see that we have the motor over there because that's what I do all day, every day. Yeah, so when you do study, please try your best to fully understand it. If you don't, just ask the professor. They are super nice.
They didn't pay you to say that, right?
No.
Just making sure.
They actually they really inspired me into this program.
Awesome. Thanks, Lon. Richard?
I think two things. One, really try to understand that the applications and what you're doing here also do have real world applications out there, but please remember that there's design and then there's maintenance and use. So please think about safety whenever you're kind of doing anything in here because when it comes to being a great mind and you could be the smartest guy in the world, please ensure that you understand what you're doing is you're not art majors, you're not English writers, you're working with serious things, 480, 180 volts, you're working with hydraulic systems, all kinds of stuff. And so the guy who's the safest, guy or girl who's the safest, definitely beats out those who are the smartest. That's one thing I always just try to hit. The second part would be, I think, understanding large organizational psychology. I think understanding how different departments work with each other and thinking about, everybody up here has worked with another department, whether that be an IT department, a sales team, kind of understanding, what your role is within whatever organization you go into, and then really focusing on how you can deepen your connections with those around you. Like, I know you guys call yourself engineer, whatever you call yourself, just don't be afraid to see in what other aspects you can kind of branch out, because in the long term of your career, you never know who's going to help you. You really don't. So it's always a good idea to, I'm the engineer guy. It's like, oh, okay, I'll help out IT, or, the sales team has a question. I'll be nice to them, So never just think of yourself as just locked in a box, because no matter where anyone here goes to work, you will be a part of a larger, organization and system, which is good. So don't just narrow yourselves in to think that you're only, one job title or anything like that. Think of yourself as a company of your own and how you develop. So
Thanks, Long. Thanks, Richard. Next question. What one skill or topic would have benefited your current role that you think new graduates should know of? Chad?
I think that you should go above and beyond, like what Long was saying. Don't just do your homework. Understand the process and understand the industry. Dig into things that you haven't been exposed to. Make connections on LinkedIn and other networks that you can find to ask the minds who are doing the work. And I also liked what Richard was saying about safety. I deal with oil and gas. There's a lot of temperature, there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of voltage around me all the time. Being aware of that and knowing how to be safe. Catherine Jones' safety program was excellent. It's not just coursework, it's for your life.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go home at the end of the day. DJ?
What was the question again? No, actually, so one of the things that I actually was fortunate enough to be able to take Excel in a summer course, and it's not required, by the way, but make sure that you learn Excel in and out, and not just for entering stuff. Make sure you know how to do formulas. I know in Professor Aller's class, we ended up doing a bunch of Excel stuff. But make sure that you understand what you're doing. Make sure that you figure out how to do graphs, because you're going to be doing a lot of reports, most likely, depending on your position. So I would, and I'm glad that I took Excel on my own. But if you haven't, or if you're not very good at it, make sure that you go out there and really, really learn it. And also, one thing that I would really suggest is for any class that you're taking and any equipment that you see, if you can get your hands on the manual, do so. Read it, understand it before you even come to class, because that's what's going to happen in the field. You're going to run into something where you're going to have to pull up the manual, or they're going to give it to you, and you're going to have to figure out how to fix it or how to work with it, and that's super important.
I just want to touch on that too. I changed my answer because the Microsoft Word package of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Studio 5000, all that's important, but if you can't present the idea, display the idea, or measure the idea, then so.
And as a matter of fact,
Yeah,
I'm actually doing a PowerPoint presentation for funny thing is, I do all kinds of stuff, but I'm actually teaching something that I've learned in the past 2 years at UC San Diego next week. So that's just goes to show you that you don't know what you're going to run into. So learn whatever you can, and don't ever just say, oh, I know this, I'm good, because you're not going to be good. You might be good for the next 3 months, but in the next year, you might be behind. Just keep learning.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question. What are your next goals, and do you plan to continue your education? This goes to Long and Richard.
So my next goal is become a senior system engineer. And yes, I do want to join into the master program if you have anything.
That's a good question. I am currently asking myself that one right now. Well, currently, in my current role, I manage one building. I have started to branch out more with assisting San Diego and San Francisco with some of their issues, but my most direct line goal would be to become a regional maintenance manager, which would oversee a portion of, this part of the West Coast for multiple of those types of buildings. But, if that works out, if it doesn't, if I do something else, I'm pretty open to, all kinds of ideas. I like where I'm at now, but that would probably be the next most obvious career step.
Chad and DJ, do you guys want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, so my day-to-day goal is just to be productive and effective in my work. I'm looking into a master's degree. Haven't quite decided whether I want to go with graphic information systems or data science. Both could be useful for what I'm doing. But yeah, just everyday goal is to be productive and effective. I don't want to be wasting my time and my company's resources.
As far as me, before I graduated, I actually wanted to get my master's in business administration, just to have it, to be honest. And I'm still going to pursue that. But in the meantime, I mean, I'm just really busy with a lot of stuff that's going on. And also my fiance, it's starting her doctorate, so I have to kind of be there for her. Otherwise, both of us studying at the same time is just going to get too hectic. But, you know, whether you're actually taking formal education classes or just learning on your own, just like I said, you know, just keep going. It never stops.
Thank you. And I have the last question that I have for you guys, and you can all jump in on this one. And give us your true, honest opinion, even though you've been paid for by faculty or somebody else to say otherwise. For the last question that we have for the panelists is, in terms of career satisfaction, would you recommend this program to others?
Definitely. Because I wouldn't be here without the program at all.
I definitely recommend this program. I talk about it as often as I possibly can, actually. It's an alternative for some people who are struggling with the higher math concepts in IT or computer science courses and engineering courses. And that's not to say that this is an easy program, because there's other concepts that you get to learn, but I feel like the involvement that you get from the educational side, you're prepared to enter the workforce and to learn even deeper once you get to the workforce. So definitely recommend this program.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this program. I think looking at the structure of my life, how it was from 2018 to now, you know, I was a truck driver in 2017. So I was driving around delivering things for water and oil and gas supplies, and that's what I did. So to see where I'm at now through the work and progress that the teachers here have done, and this is obviously before this. I mean, we were in a basement for most of my time, but you know, seeing what's been done and the amount of work that the teachers put in to, you know, make industry contacts, you know, just overall inform me of what it's like out there, that is, you know, by far what's given me the most advantage over other people that came from maybe a traditional engineering background. Let's say a guy from Cal Poly with just pure mechanical engineering or something like that. This definitely offers the hard skills needed for, you know, technical work out there. But then when you get to the upper level and you're dealing with things like quality, communication, those, quote, soft skills, which really become far more important as you go up, that's the ultimate kind of blend to make a really productive and someone who will always be employed. So remember that.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the program, especially as someone who I was a I'm still the graphic designer. I'm a graphic designer as well. But for somebody who wasn't in the field, who wasn't in the industry, who completely started fresh here, you know, didn't know much about a lot of things, and now you get to learn so much with this program. You get to learn so many things that you can actually end up in a lot of different industries. So that's one of the major things that I tell people that ask me about where I studied or graduated from. It's that if you come to this program, you know, there's so many things that are so useful that will get you in the door somewhere. As a matter of fact, when I was hired, you know, they contacted me. I didn't even contact them. And they asked for my transcripts. I sent them. And all the classes that were on there, they're like, oh, okay, you're exactly what we need. They just looked at my transcript, looked at everything that I had taken, and they were like, yep, you fit in what we do. So definitely, this is a great program. And if you have, children or anybody that wants to be in this program, I'd say, let them know. If this is what they want to do it.
Any advice that you would give our early college students that are younger and they're already taking some of the technical classes? Anything you would want to let them know?
Stay humble. I remember when I was graduating, I had done very well in all of my classes, and felt really confident exiting the program. When I got to work, my first time being on call, I was ready to just take my hard hat, go back in the truck and say, I don't belong here. Stay humble. There are people out in the field who you still need to learn from and work with. And especially being at a young age when you're still in high school, you think that everyone over 30 is dumb. They're not.
You mean for those in like high school and doing it early? Well, I'll say you're already ahead of the curve. I certainly was not thinking like that when I was in high school. So to think that there are students out there who are going earlier than that, and I was 24, I think, when I started this. So even past college age. So even I got to the game late. So I would say if you're starting that young, just don't stop. Keep going forward and try to have a vision for yourself. Try to make everything that you learn have an application. Even if you have to make one up. If you're like, oh, I want to take this aspect of the program and I'm going to make up this own design in my head, and I'll just implement that. But always have a practical application for the theoretical, and then just have a vision for yourself. And even if you have to write that down, like, I want to do this, I want to be this, like, reinforce and remind yourself of the vision, because once you keep that going, you'll be so far ahead of the curve. So
Yeah, you definitely have to have vision, and you have to make sure that, for all of you guys and girls who are younger, if this is something that you really want to do, make sure that you really dedicate yourself to it. I came here, like I said, with no experience in the field whatsoever. I started in 2016, 2020, with zero experience, and nothing. In 2020, I got my bachelor's degree, and I had my 2 AS degrees. I just came in, had a plan, executed it, and graduated. And now I'm here, and I happen to, JPR Systems, we do a lot of different industries. We work everywhere. So just definitely, just really, really dedicate yourself and really be sure of what you want to do in your life and just follow through.
For me, I would recommend if you have a chance to do an internship or part-time, take it, because you can get some hand-on experience and you can actually apply your lab experience together with your real work, and that can help you understand the whole concept better as well. And also never stop learning, because I come in there, I'm like nobody at all. And another thing is build your network. A lot of students in this program right here, a lot of them come from the industry, so they're already working. You can get to know them, and then you never know, one day you come into work and they can be your boss or they can be your peer, and they will help you out a lot.
Absolutely. I think I learned that from Mr. Allard in one of the classes. The first thing he said, network. One of the most important things you will do in the industry and just in life in general. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So that's all the questions that we prepared for the panelists. Now, after hearing what they've said already, this is your opportunity to ask them any questions that you have that you think would be beneficial for you or for others in this room. So whoever has a question that you would like to ask one of the panelists or all the panelists, feel free to raise your hand and I'll go ahead and choose on you.
So I have a question for all the panelists. during your time in the program, in your thought or in your mind, what was a difficult class for you to take? And don't name any professors.
Yeah, please. For me, it was actually some of the course requirements not within the automation program. Physics and math were challenging for me. I think that's why I switched over from computer science, because I was facing having to take Calculus 2 and Calculus 3 and just hit a brick wall with it. So coming into automation, I already had Calculus 1, so my math was complete and I could just forge ahead and make a path that was successful for me.
Yeah, that physics class is probably all you need to know. Take that one physics class, will be all the math you'll ever really need to know, to be honest. But let's see. I mean, it's kind of, I'll speak from my, I was part of the first class, so things were very, very, very new. So we had difficulties, I think, sometimes with just kind of the organization getting going, things like that. I don't think any of the classes really were just like in themselves so crazy hard, but I was kind of, I don't think I could really compare my experience to what you guys have now. But yeah, I it kind of drawing a blank, to be honest. It's been, 4 years or so. But yeah, some of the math classes are, hard, like calculus and all that. I think you have to go to Calc 1, right? Or
Pre-cal.
Pre-cal. Okay, yeah. Oh dang. Okay. See, they didn't tell me that. I had to take Calc 1 and then they rolled it back. Okay. So there I go. I did an extra class that it turns out I didn't have to do. So physics was fun.
I'll just give you some advice. Like I said, I had a plan to graduate in 4 years and go from nothing to having my bachelor's degree. So I was forced to take classes every summer. So I took 2 classes every summer. Unfortunately, I had to take the physics class in the summer, and I also took the the pre-cal in the summer. And those are not easy courses to take, especially when you're doing them in such a short period of time. So if you can, leave those for a regular semester. And, they might be difficult, but it's like anything else. You just go from step 1 to step 2. You can't skip steps and just keep going. If you get the pressure of a difficult class in the summer, everything else seems easier, actually.
Mm-hmm. I have so much time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Colton, you had your hand up.
Yeah. My question is for all of the panelists. How long did it take for you guys to get hired after you graduated? What would, in your opinion, to have them not be discouraged?
Well, it all depends on what you expect. So
Correct.
When I came out of the program, like you said, with internships, I did have an internship. I went with the first internship I saw. It was with J.G. Boswell Tomato Company. And it said automation technician, but in reality it was a boiler mechanic. And which, hey, a job's a job. So for me, I was living in Hanford for $15 an hour, working 12 midnight to 12 noon, 12-hour shifts during harvest season. Oh yeah, that's a rough schedule, I'll tell you that much. That's like super nights. But again, you got to know my background being, a truck driver and all that. If you're expecting to come out in anything just to be like, oh, handed to you, like, here you go, here's your, engineering job. There's a lot of people out there that have been working a while. So it really, I think definitely you can find a job for sure, but I think you also have to think about, okay, this is a career. So the first thing you get is never going to be the thing you stick with. In all honesty, the jobs you get out of college, but you have to think of everything as, what am I building for? And for me, I was like I said, a boiler mechanic that then started working with PLCs. And I used that to kind of hey, I know about PLC work. Oh, perfect. You're going to use Wonderware and do our SCADA. I was like, oh, well, that worked out, So come at it with that mindset, that you're planning for a career, not just a job. So when you step through it, that degree is going to get you through the door, but there's still doors after that in the career field that you have to get through. That the degree got you there. Now it's like go fly. So, but yes, I still think that the skill is 100% in demand, and we're hiring. So. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, let me just answer his question really quick. So I guess I might be one of the lucky ones because I actually did get hired right away as soon as I graduated. But I did have a job. I applied for UPS just to have a job, even though I was already doing graphic design. But I wanted to find something in the field so that I would have experience in the field, because at that time with COVID and everything, we didn't have any internships available to us. So there was no way to get real world experience. Unfortunately, I applied at UPS and I got the job thinking that there would be some kind of automation, but here in Bakersfield, they're like in the 1970s. There's no automation really in there except for very little. So I couldn't wait to graduate so that I could actually get a job somewhere else. And luckily, JPR contacted me. But just keep your expectations where they should be. Apply everywhere that you really think you want to work, and ask around. This goes back to the whole networking thing. If you can find somebody that works there, they're gonna let you know if the job is good or bad, or they like where they work or whatever, or if the salary is okay, whatever. Get information before you actually decide, yeah, this is where I want to work, because you may walk in there and you might hate it, or you might be lucky like me and love it. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm second with DJ about networking. Like when you have a network of people and you have the insider, they can tell you exactly what the job about. And also, they are the people that know when the job first opened to you, because they usually open the job for the insider first, then they post it online. So if you know the people, they can let you know in advance, and they take a look at your resume before everyone else. So that's another step.
So Long hit up the resume. When I was a student, every time that there was a job fair or a career fair, I was there. Had my resume ready to go. I had an idea of the jobs that I wanted, but I also kept an open mind that the door that opened to me would be the work that I did. I actually met my current manager at a career fair here at BC. There was an opportunity that came open during the summer right after I graduated, and got a call from Carlos and put my resume back in there and got selected. I was a contractor to start with, and then after 90 days, they did an evaluation and said, "We'd like to bring you on board." And I said, "I'd like to stay." And I just, in 3 years' time, I've gotten promoted to senior automation tech. And Richard was saying, you never know what doors ahead of you will open. You're in a job, but you're building a career. So keep that resume up to date. Every time you learn a new skill, put it on your resume. And my boss just reminded me of something recently about my resume. He said, you've still got school stuff on your resume. That was 3 years ago. School's over with. Put your current career on there.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Any other questions?
I just had a question for everybody in the panel. At any point during your college career or your course, like going through course, did you ever feel discouraged and want to stop the program? And if you did, what changed your view and kept going?
For me, I already said the math and the science was a stumbling block for me. But I wasn't about to let it make me quit, because I'm the first in my family to have gone to college. I just wanted to complete it, because I didn't want to hear my dad saying, "You never finish anything you start." So just keep grinding at it. There's tutoring available. You keep hearing us all of us talking about networking. Reach out. If you don't know, somebody around you does.
Yeah, so I actually didn't get discouraged because, like I said, I actually had the plan to just go from like nothing to 100. So in 4 years, I just want to get it done, But the friends that I made here, I do know of a few people personally who were struggling because of the family life or whatever, and they were getting discouraged. And I'm just telling you what I heard from them, that they think about their families and what those sacrifices mean, having to do them now so that you later can enjoy the fruits of your labor. So, if you get discouraged, just try to ignore it or ask for help. That's the biggest thing. Talk to somebody seriously and keep it moving. Time is never going to stop for anybody. Just keep going and you'll finish. As long as you keep going, even if it's slower than you thought it was possible.
Thank you. Anybody else have another question?
My name is Jose Joaquin, and I'm already in your program. I wanted to know, how did you guys do with employment while you guys were going to school? Did you guys do graveyard shifts? And then how many classes were you taking during the day if you guys did go that route?
Well, I mean, just quickly for me, yeah, I was working during the daytime at first and going to school at night. So I put in regular 40 hours, like I said, driving a truck, and then take all the classes over at the old robotics lab for, 2 semesters. And then once I started here, I started working actually at BC as a tutor, I worked in the front area. So I just started working where I went to school. So that helped.
I think I'm the exception to the rule because as a freelance graphic designer, I pretty much set my own schedule. So I remember talking to, people, and they would always be like, wow, you just are able to take any classes? And I'm like, well, I mean, I have to move my life around still, but I was lucky, to be able to say, well, I need to have this free time for homework or whatever, and then just, do my actual job and get paid. But for those of you who, just have a set schedule where you have an actual job that you have to show up or whatever, it is going to be difficult from all my friends that I talked to in the past and even now who have a family and all of that. But it's doable. It's like anything else. You set a goal, you just have to follow through and go with it. Just don't make excuses because that's what's going to come down to, really.
For me, I didn't work while I was going to school. I cut back my lifestyle to bare minimum to survive. I applied for scholarships, student loans, and FAFSA, grant money to make it through.
Yeah, take advantage of all the financial aid, everything that's available for you guys. Absolutely. Don't, it's free money. Take it. Use it.
Basically, everybody's situation is different. You just need to figure out what your situation is and apply everything that you can to make it, make your path forward as easy as you can.
And for me, I did full-time job at Costco and taking about 12 to 15 units per semester. And then I tried to take during summer as well. So because I was doing like $15 an hour and I see the future of the career, so I want to get it done as soon as possible because that's right now I get double or more than that. So that's why that's the encouragement. And also another thing is I see the dedication from professor. Like our professor just keep me going. I can see how they love the program and it's inspired me. And one last thing is talk to Cynthia because all the classes open, especially some of the class is only open once a year. And you don't want to miss that semester. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait for another semester. And that thing, try to take one hard class and mix with some easy class so you don't overwhelm your brain. Yeah. So don't take all the hard ones together or all the easy one first. That's gonna kill you later.
Thank you. Any other questions?
What are aspects of you did know?
Oh, okay. I already touched on that. The user-defined data types was something that I wasn't introduced to in class, but it's everywhere in the programs that I encounter every day. And as I look at them, I realize how smart it is to encapsulate all of the data that you need for a machine into one kind of a package, so that all you have to do is click plus and everything you need to know about that machine pops up and you can look at it at once. That's a big thing. And then add-on instructions where you create your own logic into a block that can then be repeated, so you're not copying rungs again and again. You're calling on that logic all at once. Those can be incorporated into your current school projects.
I think for me, the one that I've had to learn and still learning is the hiring process, how to hire effective people. It's not something I really was faced with in school, but then you get into the field and you're like, okay, now go out and find the best people for the job. That's an ongoing process of learning, learning how to find the right people. So hiring is definitely a skill to still I'm learning.
For me, this is one of the things that I tell people that were like me, that have no experience in the field whatsoever. When I interview for the job, I told them, I have no experience because of no internships at the time. And they were like, don't worry, we'll train you. And I don't think you're ever going to get to a job where you graduate from somewhere and get there and be like, hey, I know everything I'm supposed to know. No, you're going to learn a lot of new stuff anyway when you get to the actual job. So, I'm still training on a lot of stuff because there's new technology that comes out all the time anyway. So, I say, just stay open-minded, and you're gonna run into something where you're gonna have to learn as you get out of the program anyway. So, just keep that in mind.
And for me, it's more about hydraulic that I didn't learn a lot here. And also, it's between different power all come together, pneumatic, hydraulic, and then talk to the PLC and the VFD all combine together, because we usually take each lash by itself and never all together. So that's kind of new to me, and I have to learn how to communicate to the other and how to control them by one the other.
I had a question. My name is Rafael. I'm also a student in this program. My question was, how is, more like a personal question, like how is the work-life balance working in this field? Yeah.
Someone else should.
Well, fortunately for me, being that I travel and stuff, and I don't have a job every single day, we get busy obviously during certain seasons, like at the, because a lot of the factories, like I work for the oil and gas, food industry, aerospace, and all kinds of different stuff. I've been at Google, I've been at, Bry actually, Barry. I've been there. I've been a lot of different locations. So fortunately for me, I happen to be like, hey, I'm off today. I work the next 2 days. I'm off another day. It just happens to be the job. That's why I took it. I love it. So when you get a job, when you get an offer for a job, make sure that it really fits your lifestyle. Don't just say it pays really well, because if your other part of your life is going to suffer, like your marriage or your whatever, it may not be worth it.
Yeah, and you're asking about work-life balance as someone who manages Amazon in December.
Yeah.
So right now we are in our Super Bowl mode of the next 29 odd days that we're going to be heavily processing. So yeah, so right now obviously I'm in a very go.
Yeah.
But there's peaks and valleys and seasons to, depending on the industry. I'm
Yeah.
sure Target's in the same boat. It's like, all right, go. But yeah, once come January, February, pretty much the first half of the year, it's all over with and back to normal. But yes, there is definitely a balance. Again, it comes down to choosing also the right field, but then, being flexible with yourself. And once you get to a point where, I know what I need to do to get the work done in this amount of hours and stuff like that. But yeah, it all balances out. But right now, it's Christmas.
For me, it's also peaks and valleys. I work Monday through Friday, and I have myself, another technician, and there's three of us that rotate our on-call schedule. So right now I'm not on call, but the person who starts on call today specializes in radio communication and telemetry. He's not a PLC programmer, so any calls that come in that have to do with programming, that comes to me or to my associate. And sometimes I'm at home, I'm not on call. I'll get a call, I'll put on my uniform. My partner says, "Why are you wearing that?" And then the other side of that is, he says, "Shopping spree." So the compensation is good for when you do have that kind of upset in your home side of the home work and home balance.
Yeah, you have to remember, this is your life, Yeah, you need money to survive and to live, but you have to be happy where you are. It doesn't matter if it's, if it's a ton of money and you're unhappy, why would you want to do that? Find somewhere where you really belong and you think that you will make a difference if that's what you want to do. Or work, catch up on your bills if you have a lot of stuff. And then once you do that, reevaluate, and be happy. That's really what the bottom line of everything should be. So, yeah, I know we're talking about industrial automation, but at the same time, this is your life. You're here because you want to better yourselves. So better yourselves and better your life, and that includes your family.
I wanted to add on, Richard touched on the psychology of the industries, and that goes towards the culture of the company. I'm fortunate that the culture of my company actually is interested in me being a balanced human being. So that if I'm completely overwhelmed, they're like, "What can we do to help you? Do you need extra time off? Do you need? What do you need?"
Yeah.
So that is an important thing to be shopping for when you're looking for jobs. Because you also, your employer is shopping for you, but it's fair that you're also shopping for them.
Correct.
If you don't feel like you're a fit for the company, don't waste anybody's time and move on.
Yeah.
And that's how you can manage that work-life balance.
And really be upfront with your employer. It would have been so easy for me to say, "Hey, I have all this experience," and lie. But what for? You get to the job and then you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to be that guy that doesn't know what they're doing, and it could be a safety issue, and then you end up hurting yourself or somebody else. Just be honest about what you want in life. Be honest with your employer or your future employer, and you'll get where you want to get.
For me, I would say do your best to try your job and see if you like it. If not, then don't do it, because just like DJ said, you want to be happy to go to work, not go to work and you stress out already, like before you getting. That's why you don't want, because your life is ruined right after or even before you go to work. So no matter how many days you work, your head thinking about work and stressing out, that's not the right thing to do. For me, I work from 8 p.m. to 6:30 a.m., but I don't feel tired because I enjoy it, and I enjoy my teammate with me, because we all work together. And when you need help, do ask them. They're more than happy to help you. Don't take it all by yourself. That's how you gonna carry all the burden, and one day you're gonna break down. That's what you don't want. So do your best. and speak up if you need to.
Yeah.
My question is, so besides graduating from the program, was there any amount of experience that was required of you? Or a certain amount of experience?
So for my company, they were looking for somebody at entry level because the team was new. I did have an internship prior to graduating. That was at Wonderful Citrus. It was an excellent opportunity for me to see the skills that I was learning in the classroom actually being used in industry. If you search for those opportunities, they're not going to come to you. You need to seek them out. Ask Carlos; he knows all about them. Get on your network. Join LinkedIn if you haven't already. Find those opportunities. Grab whatever experience that you can. And experience doesn't necessarily have to be, I've worked with machines. It can be some of the soft skills that Richard talked about, the human relationships, because we can't forget those.
And don't forget your lab work is also experience.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Always let them know, like, hey, your lab work is considered experience,
Yeah.
hands-on.
Do you have any recommended study or general strategies that will help us feel prepared once we're in the industry?
Who wants to go first?
The question is how to be like
Prepared, right?
better student.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've sat in a classroom. It feels like.
Study, but the question is how.
Yeah, so for me, I think I could be a good example since I finished in just the 4 years when I started and just finished. Well, first of all, you have to be dedicated. If you're not dedicated in anything that you do, you're not going to succeed. That's bottom line. The other thing is, and I said this before, learn anything that you can that's outside of just this. Okay, so if you're in somebody's class and they have a piece of equipment that you may not learn at that point, ask to see if you can find the manual for that and just learn it on your own. There's no. It's like the library. The library is there and it's a lot of information, but if you don't go in there and study or pick up a book and read it, you're never going to learn something. So really dedicate yourself to everything that's outside of the classroom, and just dedication. That's really all it takes.
And I would say if you really want to get good at something, go be a tutor. Tutor that thing.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty, if you want to really teach it. So even if you're like, oh, I'm not good, make it a goal to teach somebody else that. Because if you can teach it, you know it. So.
Also, find the smartest person in the room for whatever classes you're doing, and try to partner with them on a lab. That's really essentially what you're going to be doing when you're out in an actual job. If you have a good partner or even somebody that's not part of your job, like for me, I might go to a location and I don't work there. I'm just there to do a job. But if I don't know something, I could ask somebody and be like, hey, are you in charge of this? Yes. Okay, so you know about this. Let's talk about it because I'm trying to do this and you can help me get to what I'm trying to get. And I can tell you right now that from experience, a job that could take a few, maybe longer hours was easier because I actually asked somebody who already knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I have a question, DJ. I know earlier you mentioned about technology and automation so involved heavily in technology. Are there any innovation projects that any of your guys' employers that are currently working on or will be seeing pretty soon that you might have any insight on?
Well, we do a lot of different, we work with a lot of different process control systems and stuff. For us, really, it's about technologies. Like right now, we took a partnership with Valmet, which they do microsonic process measuring for wastewater and other stuff. We don't create those things. I mean, that is their the company, but they're coming out with new products. So I just went for some training last week. Actually, no, it was this week. It's going so fast. You know, I can't say that you guys will run into it right now, but eventually, if you're out in the field and if you're doing process control or whatever, you're going to run into ultrasonic meters and you know, regular flow meters and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what you guys are going to be doing or choosing for this final destination. You know, but hopefully, you know, when you're out there, you know, if you're looking for a job and we're hiring, hopefully, you know, I'll get to train you or something. That'll be awesome. You know?
I know that for us, oil and gas, especially in California, is very highly regulated. And we're doing what we can to get in front of the process. So carbon sequestration and recycling are big things that are coming about. Recycling seems like it's old news, but it's always in the forefront to be responsible to our environment and the future. And I wanted to touch on Angel's question as well. Richard talked about practical application for the young members. I think that's true for across the board. If you can't really see the value of what you're learning in theory, look for the practical application of how you can make it real, and then you'll be able to own it better.
Yeah, and you know, Amazon has been, it's the fastest paced work I've ever had. I mean, we squeeze so much into a day, so much into a week, and so there's innovation all around. And you know, in terms of specifics, well, you know, we can talk about that more one-on-one, but you know, I identify where I want to work by the company's vision and goal. So it's not so much just one project here. I like working here because of it's everywhere. Every single department, whether that's from IT to RME to any subunit, is like, all right, what's the next step? What's the next step? How do we do more? How do we produce more? How do we automate more? So would love, if you guys ever want to come visit, let me know. We'll work that out. Love to partner up.
Yeah, this question I have is for Chad specifically. Chad, do you find yourself going into green energy maybe in the next few years?
I think that the company is looking for opportunities to remain sustainable, especially with operations in California. So the whole green energy movement is a whole can of worms that we don't have time to get into today.
Yeah.
We need to maintain our responsibility to operate as cleanly as we can when we're doing, you know, automation work. Make everything count. Don't leave waste in your wake.
All right, this will be our last question for today.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Alejandro. My question is, how many times would you guys say you had to adapt to changes at you guys' workplace?
Every day.
Every minute.
Every day there is something new that changes my work. So if you want to work in an industry where it's like kind of the same stagnant, this probably won't be a good one, because everything's getting faster, everything's getting smaller, everything's getting, like, you know, everyone probably is in that same boat of the new technology here, the new thing here. So every day.
I would say that you need to be able to be adaptable in any situation, really. But in the workplace, absolutely you have to be adaptable, because for me, you know, I could get to the job site and be like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do this. I get there and it's something different. So you just go with the flow and do the best that you can. And if you are not prepared, it's okay to say, you know, I can't do this today. I'm coming back tomorrow because I need to be familiar with whatever, because at the end of the day, safety is more important anyway.
Yeah. So I've encountered, you know, things being reported to me by an operator, and they say that it's one problem. When I finally get there, I discover that the problem that they reported was a result of another or two problems before that. So having to adjust what I thought I was going to be doing and actually reach deeper to get to that core cause of the problem is every day. And then there's the corporate structure that changes in companies. You never know how your company might be different from one day to the next, literally. We just had a company meeting a couple of days ago that our longtime CEO is taking a different role within the company and breaking out his responsibilities to additional individuals. So our upper management structure has changed in the last week. So adaptation and being ready for change is very important.
For me, it's all different every day. Like one day it's conveyor broke down, the other day the truck broke down or something. It's all different kind of stuff, and as you know, the operator, they don't know the equipment as well as you do. So after you fix it, try to communicate with them and the manager, so that can help you improve the efficiency for the whole company together, and easier on your job later as well. So because it's just ton of stuff keep throwing at you, the less you have on hand, the better. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. So that's going to conclude our second annual Industrial Automation Alumni Panel. As you can see, they have a lot of great insight for you guys. And if you were taking your notes or you'll be watching this recording, you can always look them up online. I know all of them can be found on LinkedIn. And I know that by hand because that's how I keep in touch with them. And it's always great seeing them accelerate in their careers. I know Chad just recently got his recent promotion, and I found out through LinkedIn. That's the first way I found out. So it's a great tool to use. I highly recommend it for all of you to use it. Start building your network. But let's give these guys a round of the hand for their time.